boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, around the world. It is once again time for the WADcast. That is the show that's for writers, actors, directors, and every position on a set in between. We celebrate it all. I am one of your hosts, Josh, joined by none other than the guy that loves burritos from the back of a 1987 Dodge Caravan, Brandon.
Okay, well, who the hell doesn't, first off? Okay? God.
Hey, everybody likes them, but you love them.
Yeah, nice big, thick burrito in my mouth. So, would you like to... That wasn't vulgar, okay? It's food related.
Well, it's a good thing it's not live radio, and I'd have to hit the dump button. I need one of those. For you. Very, very specifically for you. That way it'd be easier just to bleep you rather than... well, no, I guess it's just easier to call it an explicit show than, having to constantly...
Well, it makes me lovable, okay? So, sue me.
Somebody will eventually, but not today.
Probably.
Like I said, welcome to the show. Glad to have you around. Normally we would have a very special guest since it is an even-numbered episode. But, unfortunately, our scheduled person had to, work around some shooting schedules. So, that was pushed back. And you get an extra week of Brandon and I just being odd. So, that's good news, right?
Yeah, that's what we do best, right? I mean, just throw stuff against the wall, see what sticks, and we talk about it. But, yeah.
Pretty much.
Anyway, so...
It's a fly by the seat of your pants kind of event. It's super chill. If this is the first time you're listening to the show, hey, welcome. Glad to have you around. If you're in the chat, feel free to say hello. I swear I'm paying attention this time.
No.
Okay.
There you go. Just ignore our commentators. That's great. That's great.
I only ignored them for like 10 weeks. I'm not going to say which 10 weeks those were, though. But I have the window open now. It's like right in front of my face. I can do this. I can do this. I will read any responses that come through and make sure you get your shout-outs on the air. In the meantime, we have a hell of a show for you tonight. Because tonight we're going to talk about what, Brandon?
Well, we're going to be talking about screenwriting competitions, contests, festivals, as well as, film festivals, more specifically, ones that you've actually participated in that I've never participated in, which is the 48-hour film festivals. So I feel like that's a good topic to discuss. And pretty much with my experience with screenwriting contests, I can actually discuss the goods and the bads of entering a screenwriting contest. But I figure I will let you actually tell everyone about some of the stuff that you've done for the 48-hour film festivals, how they operate, and if you really found that it was, worth the time to do so. So I'll let you take it, and I'll give you the floor.
Give me the floor. Okay. 48-hour film project. It's definitely an experience, and that is not something I'm saying lightly at all. I don't know if you had a chance to watch the video that I sent you.
I did.
Okay, good. That was one of the videos, one of the films that we did for the 48-hour film project. Well, let's start with what it is exactly that the 48-hour film project is. Okay. Naturally, you register, you get your team registered, and you have 48 hours, exactly 48 hours to write and produce a short film. I think the average is like 8 minutes or so. Well, the thing is, everything that you get has to be done within that 48 hours. You can't go in with a script. It has to be done after the clock starts. I'm not really sure you can line up any kind of pre-produced music. Well, yeah, you can get pre-produced music, but you got to have all the paperwork filled out, I think, during that time. But don't hold me to that. I'm not sure. But you certainly cannot use any pre-shot footage. Everything has to be shot. Everything has to be produced within that 48 hours. Now, I've done it 4 times, 5 times? I don't remember exactly. And one of the cool things about doing this is at the end of everything, you go to your local theater and you get to watch your film in front of a sold out audience on a film screen. So if you're not used to that experience, or if it's just like a dream you've had where you go to the theater and watch your short film, that's definitely a way to do it. But the overall theme of the 48-hour film project is anxiety. You see, as a team leader, you, of course, are the pretty much sole responsible one to get everything lined up, whether it's actors, DPs, gear, that's generally up to you. Now, most people either have the gear already, or, they have their friends lined up, they know who their team's going to be, and that's cool. In case you don't have any of that, prior to the event, they have different meet and greets, where team leaders can go and, they invite local film crews and actors to kind of mix and mingle. And I've met a couple of actors there, they wanted to get their headshots out, and they take it very seriously. At the time, I'll be honest, I was like, wow, some of these actors are really, really trying to get put into these short films. And that was, I think, my second year doing it, when I had more of a leadership role. And it surprised me, because it's like, this is just a thing. It's not gonna make or break anybody, right? No. But when I watch the films that came of it, some of them are really great, and it blows my mind at what you can do on a time limit and caffeine binge. Let me get to more of the rules. Back to more of the rules. Okay. They have a couple of things that they do to kind of ensure that you're not cheating when it comes to your production.
People cheat.
They give you a character name that has to be included. They give you a line of dialogue that has to be included. And they give you a prop that has to be included. You have to have all of these 3 things in your film, otherwise, disqualified. That's kind of their assurance that you did not do anything beforehand, because you don't know what it's going to be until it happens. And it can be something really weird. One year it was an egg, right? And that was the year my sister and I put together a team, and we made the egg a character. It was weird and not good. It was not a good short film. But it was, we figured we would go for it. That's what they give you at the kickoff, when they start the clock. They give you those 3 things. Oh, yes, of course. You also don't know what type of film you're making until you're told to make it at the kickoff meeting. You have no idea what your genre is.
Yeah.
So that is randomly chosen. A team leader literally walks up, puts his hand in a hat or a fishbowl or whatever it's going to be, pulls out a sheet of paper, a little slip of paper, and that's when you find out what type of film you're going to make. So once you have your 3 ingredients and you have your genre, that's when the real work begins. You get your writing team together, whatever that may be, and you start trying to hammer something out. It is ideal to be shooting something on the first night, but any good perfectionist knows you want to have that script at least kind of nailed down first. And for those of you out there, especially you writers out there that have a hard time believing a good script can be written, in a month, let alone an hour, the 48-hour film project throws all expectations out the window as far as quality, because it ranges from brilliant to the opposite of that, of course. And it's all done really rapid pace. We're talking first drafts to screen. And it really does fly in the face of what a lot of people consider to be normal, which is, of course, that's the challenge, essentially. So you got your script down, which is a pain in and of itself, because if anybody's planning on doing it, here's a good tip. Whoever pays for the entry is the leader. That's who you're going to listen to. Unless some other arrangement is made, that's where the buck stops. They put their money on the line, and they're the ones that are basically producing this flick. So it's their vision that matters the most. Now, if they want to put up their money for a team to, do what they're going to do, then everybody needs to agree on who's leading the pack. And that includes who is going to be given final say on all story-related matters. Because too many times, there are way too many cooks in the kitchen trying to put in their 2 cents, and you end up wasting a lot more time arguing about what the story is going to be rather than actually getting something to shoot. Because, like I said, everything's got to be done. You have 48 hours to do it. So, say you do get the script down, and, maybe if you feel you have time, you start, throwing together a shot list. Now, it's never a bad idea to have a shot list, but I will say that if you trust your DP, then let them run with it. They'll take a look at your script and figure it out. And they'll probably do it a lot quicker. But if you have any kind of doubt, get a shot list down and make sure that you're not going for coverage. You're not going to have time to get every angle, but get something. Look at your scenes, find out what the key shots are, and then maybe add one more for safety. Other than that, that's when you begin filming. No, you do have to have your locations first. That's one thing you're allowed to do is get your locations settled in. Which, by the way, everything used in the film, as far as locations, music, and everything, has to have a waiver. So you have to make sure you have not only everything credited, but everything has to be signed off on. So if you're shooting at a shop, then you're going to have a waiver from that shop saying that you have permission to film there. If you're shooting at your house, you have to have that paperwork in your packet saying that you give permission to shoot at your house, even if it's your house. So anyway, you're shooting. Things are not going to go perfectly because, you know what? It's a set. Things never go perfectly. Ever. Now,
Yeah, shit happens, right?
every time. Every time. So, you make do with what you can, and when something goes wrong, you get through it as best you can. And what you will wind up seeing, if there was a making of when it comes to every 48-hour film project, you would see so much MacGyver stuff. Just things rigged because they needed it in the moment. And I'd love that. That style of, geez, we need the shot. We don't have a way to make that possible. So let's figure out what to do. Now, there are going to be teams out there that actually have like access to really good equipment. You know, we're going to take this drone up and we're going to get a nice even shot. Or we have a crane here that we got from the equipment department over here at the local university, you know, and yeah, you're going to have some nice smooth shots. It's going to be cool. I was actually, I think the first project I was part of, it wasn't mine. And oh boy, have I learned a lot since then. And I got to say, I wasn't the best person to have on set, if I'm being completely honest. But that's because I saw everything going on, and I was like, wow, this is so bad. I was just an actor for that, and you know, I stand by it. It wasn't good, and in fact, I don't think the person really grasped the concept of the genre. Having a strong female lead, it didn't quite fit with what they wrote, but that was the writer part of me going, this is all wrong. Anyway, I was saying something. You're shooting it, and hopefully, with some good luck on your side, everything's done before Saturday night, because this is all done on the weekend, Friday to Sunday. That's 48 hours. You want to make sure everything is shot. Everything's in the can by Saturday night. That way, some poor bastard has, you know, we'll say 12 to 16 hours to edit. And yeah, it's an 8-minute thing, right? 8 minutes. How hard could it be to edit 8 minutes? Brandon, do you know how hard it is to put together 8 minutes?
Let's see. Last time my student film was actually 9 minutes, and I shot that over the course of 48 hours. I wrote, directed, acted, and edited everything within a 48-hour period. And I think that took me, let's see, filming was the easy part. The practical effects I had to use in it were all easy, super simple. Johnny, like what you said, MacGyver the shit out of things. But I think it took me close to, oh God, almost 20 straight hours behind a computer with tons of caffeine and as few bathroom breaks as possible to actually crank out like a 9-minute short film. I honestly think like next time I'm in that situation, I'll just wear like a Depends or something.
That's exactly right. People write off editing when it comes to filmmaking, and I hate to use the term, but the layman writes off editing because they look at their, you know, app on the phone for their, you know, camera, and they're like, oh, all I gotta do is splice this here, splice that there, hit the Beatles button, and it's got a soundtrack, so we're good to go. No, just the idea of cutting and splicing, not to mention going through each take to find out which one you want to put in. It would be ideal to be able to do that while you're filming. You're like, this one's good. But the best you can do is make a note and move on. So you have a kind of an idea of what's going to wind up in it. But when you're watching everything and when you're editing, you have to watch everything. You might find something you like better. You might find something that you need. And the really scary thing is you might find something that's just completely missing. It's like, where's the shot? I need this shot. And then you have to, go through all of your cameras and your memory cards. You have to go through everything to find out, find what you're looking for. Because nothing is ever in the place you left it. Why would it be? This is a frantic filmmaking weekend. Nothing's going to be where you put it. So, editing, you hope you have enough time. Get the music in there, do the color correction, do everything you're supposed to do. It takes a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And then, once everything's final, mind you, this is when your film is done and it is, burned to a disc, it's ready to go. That's when, as team leader, you're like, okay, I have the digital copy, I have the physical copy, I have to go through all the paperwork to make sure every actor, location, piece of music, original script, I have to make sure everything is in the proper order and everything's signed. Oh, God forbid if you have something that's not signed, because then you got to track down whoever didn't sign, whatever needs to be signed. And then you got to look at the clock and say, how long do I have to get downtown to drop this thing off? Because if you miss deadline, guess what? Everything you did was pointless. Yeah, they'll still show it. If that was your whole reason for doing it, they'll still show it, but they won't judge it.
Yeah.
And if you manage to do all of this, if you get everything lined up, if you get everything ready to go and turned in on time, then you get the schedule for the screenings, which I think I've only gone to one out of all of the 48-hour projects I've done. But afterwards, because especially Jacksonville, this,
Yep.
the filming community is, it's not small, but it's very close.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's like a little niche in Jacksonville. It's, niche, whatever the hell it's called. It's like a small, tight-knit group. If not tight-knit, it's they all pretty much know each other, if you're serious about filmmaking.
And if you know somebody, chances are that person will know everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
And like, when I look at our shared friends, I'm like, okay, we have quite a few shared friends. But if I compare, like, you to another friend I have, and you have, like, 25 friends in common, it's like, yeah, same circle.
Well, yeah. Well, and just honestly, even if you can have friends that aren't even involved, you can have friends that aren't even involved with any kind of medium in filmmaking whatsoever, like any aspect of it, from like the base roots of it all the way to the final leaf falling off the tree into distribution. Like I know this girl Ashley in Jacksonville. She was a receptionist at a chiropractic office where my ex-girlfriend worked as a massage therapist. I haven't spoken to Ashley in years. Not for lack of one, she's a really sweet person, really awesome woman. But Sue, actually, one of the moderators in this group. Sorry, Sue, if you're listening, don't mean to throw you out there like this. But she's actually very close with Ashley. And you and I just know Sue as a random face behind a Facebook page on a screenwriting group. But she's very active with her screenwriting career. So it's like it really goes back to, you never know who might know. It's such a, it's really just like, again, it's like a small, tight-knit community. So in Jacksonville, it's, you got Mamouche Lozadeh, who is an Iranian born producer, director, writer who lives in Jacksonville. 30, 40 years of filmmaking experience. Works with a guy that I used to go to house parties with, who is Santana, who's actually a very successful director of photography in Jacksonville. And it's just like it's all so very tight knit, the whole thing.
Yeah, and when you do these projects, especially in a place like this, you're going to wind up seeing a lot of the same people over and over again, especially when it comes to the finalists. And I know that there are some out there that how do I say this? There's some bitter people out there, right?
Oh yeah,
and
I know
a couple of them we know mutually that think it's just a rigged system where local people are only choosing for their friends to win, and that's why you see the same finalists over and over. Now, on the one night that I went to, it was one of the better 48-hour film projects I was a part of, and there was one group that looked like they put together like a time travel movie with a camcorder. And I don't mean like they shot it with their phone. I mean like something straight out of 1987.
Yeah, like an
that.
actual VHS handheld.
The formatting was hard to look at on a big screen. The acting was not good by any means, but the fact of the matter is, they put together this story, shot it, and edited it, and got it shown. Now, was it an enjoyable film? Hell yeah. It was a nice little movie. I'm a sucker for time travel anyway. And I kind of wish that I had the guts to put together a time travel piece. But like I said, I'm a sucker for time travel. I want to do it correctly. And as far as story goes, they did a good job. Did they win anything? No.
Yeah.
But by the way, I was proud that what I wrote that night got, and this is exactly how I said it. Everybody laughed at the right spots. I like that.
Good.
And some of the jokes I thought might have been okay. We'll take that the film I sent you. I didn't go see that, right? But I was at home, and I get a message on Facebook from a girl I knew who was unfortunately passed, and she was like, "What the hell?" I was like, "What? Your movie? It was so messed up." Like, yeah, like everyone thought it was hilarious though. I was like, good. That's what we're going for. It's supposed to be funny. It's like, but it was still messed up. I was like, yeah. Like, yeah, everyone thought you did a good job. I was like, cool. I think her team actually won that year. So that was, nice to get messages like that people watched what you wrote, what you made, and enjoyed it. Well, I didn't write that. I had a hand in putting it together as far as script goes. But yeah, 48-hour film project. I think the last thing I can say about this is, if you haven't done it, it's definitely worth doing it.
Yeah, it's definitely on my bucket list. I haven't done it yet, so.
In fact, within the next couple weeks, I I was asked to be on a team, and they're going to be doing it here again.
Oh,
So,
careful! Don't get the Rona.
Yeah. And yeah, it's something to consider. But I was asked to be on a team. I said I would definitely. I said I'd do it. I trust the people to make sure everything is safe. And if not, you could always go home again. It's not such a big deal. If you show up somewhere and you don't feel like everything's copacetic, you just leave. Big whoop. But my friend that put together the team actually has some solid people behind it, and I can't wait to talk to him more about it. He's got a little quiet recently, but with all of that being said, I do recommend doing it once if you're a filmmaker or an aspiring filmmaker. It's everything jam-packed into 48 hours. And you definitely get an appreciation for the hard work it takes to put together 8 minutes. 8 minutes. 48 hours. And it's like, 48 hours to do, an 8-minute film? That's nothing. No, that's everything. That's everything. And if you don't end up respecting the jobs, the writers, actors, directors, and everything between everybody that this show is for, then I don't know what to tell you, man. If you don't walk away with a newfound respect for all of these positions, then you have no business doing it.
Yeah.
Because the ones that look at it and say, it's a piece of cake, and for them it is a piece of cake, because they have the resources, they have everything lined up to do great. Guess what? It's still not going to be, it's still not going to be the greatest thing in the world, because you only got 48 hours. And things are going to go wrong. No matter how much money, no matter who you have to get behind that camera, you could get Steven freaking Spielberg to, direct something for you in that amount of time. It's still going to have a bunch of problems with the set. You're gonna have issues. But if you do this, it is definitely not only a way to see whether you have the stomach for production days, which can and will be upwards of 20 to 40 hours for a production day. You are constantly moving. Sleep is not something you get during the 48. So you're either, you're going to have a new respect for it. Well, you're going to have a new respect for it. But you're also going to find out whether or not you're cut out for it. So test your muster. Go for the 48-hour film project. Or hell, just put on a timer and see if you can, randomly pick a genre. Have somebody give you those 3 things that I told you about: a name, a line of dialogue, and a prop that you have no idea what it is. Have somebody give that to you, because those are key elements to the the frantic nature of the competition. I mean, imagine this day and age, they're like, your prop is a disposable camera. It's like, where the hell am I going to get a disposable camera? So yeah, that actually was a prop one year. And it was a little difficult to find one. And then, since this is a summer, spring affair, you're going to have weather, whether it's rain or whether it's heat. In the South, it could be both. Yeah, give it a shot. Test your mettle. Find out where you fit in on a set. If you find your happiness is holding the boom mic, hey, there's a job for that. If you feel like you're the guy that does the best at lining up a shot, there's someone for that. If you think that you're best, rigging up lights, there's a job for that. Or if you think you're absolutely killing it in front of the camera, by all means, you have footage for your reel. So that's that's my 30 minutes on the 48-hour film project.
I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. So, I mean, that's, understandable. And it's something I don't really think people are really, if you're not familiar with production, it's something that people aren't really familiar with in general. And also with production, as you said, if you want to get a crash course without film school, without working on a professional set or anything, I've had the blessings and nightmares of everything film related, working in professional studio sets, working on big budget films, working just as a production assistant, nothing like overly important, but just, getting to see how it works and everything else. But I've never done a 48-hour film festival where I was living when I went to film school. They didn't really have them in Millville, New Jersey. So I was like, oh, well, Los Angeles sounds like it's a fun time. So I came out here for film school. And until I made my first by myself, pulling magic out of my ass student film, I had no idea what it was like. And I would imagine what I went through was pretty much the same as a 48-hour film festival, except for the fact that I came up with my own story, my own genre, and everything else, whereas you're usually, if I'm not mistaken, assigned a genre with the 48-hour film competitions. But either way, another thing I want to talk about, though, is coming off of the 48-hour film festival is the writing competitions, because where 48-hour film competitions are one thing, it's not many of them are. I wouldn't really look at them as being like scams. It's just people coming together doing something, having fun. That's most of what those are. You do have prizes, of course. You do have first, second, third place, and all this stuff. Runners up, maybe. I'm not too sure about that one, but there was something I was talking to somebody about when it came to screenwriting competitions, and I brought up scam competitions or red flags. So how to spot red flags of screenwriting contests. And my friend had no idea that there were even red flags about certain contests. And while I'll get into that, before I start talking about all this stuff, there is one thing that I really think needs to be said about when you want to sign up for a film, for a screenwriting competition or screenwriting festival, film festival, whatever. If you're just trying to submit a screenplay, beginning screenwriters that get excited over finishing their first feature-length script and they want to enter it into something, there are things that you really need to think about before you go on and enter your script. First off, finish your damn script. Finish it. Make sure that the editing and everything else is good. Make sure that everything that you can possibly say about your characters, which characters are carrying the story and everything else, make sure nothing is a waste of time for the reader. But one thing that I see people do, there's mistakes that people make when they go into the contest. Sometimes they ignore the rules, unintentionally maybe, but pretty much if your script doesn't meet the requirements, it's pretty much going to be an instant rejection. So you got to make sure that your page counts, the genre and title page content are in line with the contest rules, the regulations, and the eligibility requirements. And other people, there are people that try to, I guess, bend the rules a little bit. and I've seen this a lot with people that are just getting started with screenwriting that want to enter their scripts. They think that the contest should make like an exception for them. They'll submit their scripts to competitions despite the fact that they're over or under the listed page count requirements. There are some contests that say like, oh, well, feature length no less than 90 pages. Nothing, and usually, I don't know what it is now, but it used to be nothing over 120 pages. You're not Christopher Nolan. So pretty much they'll submit their scripts to competitions despite the fact that their pages are either over or under the limits. Sometimes they'll ask like a fellowship to make an exception, even though like thousands of other applicants had to follow the exact same rules. So guys, just follow the rules. Leave the breaking and bending for later in your career, like when you can actually get away with it. Wait till you're Christopher Nolan. So, and like I said, write your script, write your first draft, go back and edit the living hell out of it. Make sure it is as polished as possible. Don't ever submit a first draft. It's like contests offer, just amazing platforms. Lets you really test the waters and everything else, but it doesn't do you any good if you submit, what I'll look at it as like an incomplete work. A first draft is incomplete. First draft is always unfinished. You have to go back. You have to trim the fat, so to speak, of your script. You want to always put your best foot forward. You always want to remember the industry readers and industry insiders are reading and judging your script. There's nothing worse for you in your career than to put in like a first draft. Be like, oh, well, here you go. I spent months on it, and trying to pass it off like you're handing in a report for, a midterm final in high school. It's a career that people take very seriously, and a craft that people take even more seriously. So there's that. And also a big one, when people submit scripts, and this is something that pisses me off because I had to listen to a friend who was a judge in a screenplay competition bitch to me about this, because it happens all the damn always, where a script is entered into a contest and it may have a weak story, but they don't just stop at entering into the contest. A lot of these contests offer you the ability to gain feedback on your script. Weak points, the strong points, what you can do to maybe mix the story up to make it go a little further and stay on point, make it flow decently. And this goes back to the first draft, okay? Do not hand in your first draft so you can get feedback to write your second draft, okay? The feedback, it is an opinion. It's an opinion on your story. That's all it is. If you put too much weight on those options to the point where you're using contest feedback to help you write a better script, it is so counterproductive. You're not growing as a writer. Instead, you're just cheating and looking for shortcuts, in which case you will never become anything, ever. It's the coverage. It's just there to offer a perspective. That's it. And that perspective, it might inform you of some unseen issues with the story or characters, but the perspective also may provide some answers to some pacing or structure problems present within your script. But respect it. Treat the coverage and feedback, as more food for thought instead of like a crutch. So, and again, I can't say this enough. Proofread the hell out of your scripts. I swear to God, right now, me talking like this, I could be a goddamn English teacher. Proofread your shit. Okay? You miss the proper spelling of something. There are 3 different words that are pronounced 2. You don't want to say I went to the store, TWO, the store. I mean, it'll like throw someone off. Like, oh, am I supposed to be counting something? Like, there and they are, and then the other there. I mean, there's different. The English language is already it's difficult, and this is where I think you and I have actually had this conversation about bullying people who are trying to learn English, but their language skills aren't all the way there, because I can understand quite a bit of Spanish. I can speak very little, and I can read even less, and I can write even less than that. So when I speak Spanish, I may sound good. When I write Spanish, I may think, oh, this looks good. On paper, it looks like, I guess Sylvester Stallone trying to speak Spanish. It's just like it just comes off dyslexic. No offense to dyslexic people, but you
¿Dónde
know,
está la biblioteca?
yeah, Jesus. But before you submit your script, take a few extra days, just read it line by line, a couple times, beat it into your head, and make sure that everything is where it should be. And don't bother with local or small film festival contests. And I can only offer that so much because I've done it myself, but I've done it with work that, while protected, I don't really care about. Infectocalypse. I entered that into a into a screenplay competition, and it's a semifinalist. I never expected it to be one. It was really just, hell with it. I'm bored. I'm going to, and it's a free competition. There's absolutely nothing that I'm going to gain out of that aside from maybe like a few accolades or whatever else. And even after you submit these scripts to to these competitions, I'll reiterate on this after I'm done with the list I made. But move on with your life. Don't count the days and hours and weeks and years or however long until you hear back about your script. Move on. Write another script. Don't even touch the script that you just submitted. Just move on, because now you're like, especially if you ask for feedback, because now you're going to want to see feedback on something that now you're thinking about changing. So that feedback will probably be nothing. You've wasted your money for that feedback. And feedback on a script is usually not cheap. It comes in a packet. It's usually around like $70 to $100, somewhere around there, for someone to actually go through your work and pick it apart for you. But one of the worst things that I can think of is, do not submit, like a cliffhanger of an ending in a script. You're not entering a script into a festival looking for, a franchise. You're entering a script into a festival looking for, like a placing, or like just like trying to network. And like, honestly, the worst thing are like the slow burn scripts. Those things suck, because if you have not established your characters, the story, the conflict, or anything else within the first 5 to 10 pages, go back and do that. You have to establish that conflict right away. Now, it doesn't have to get into it until about like 25-page to 30-page mark for a feature film. At the end of the first act, everything should be the shit hits the fan. That is where everything goes wrong for the protagonist, and now they're in the meat of the story. But the first 5-10 pages is where you really want to kick it off and make something of it. So yeah, the slow burn shit, don't do that. And then I think you and I have seen this ourselves, Josh. Adaptations on intellectual property you do not own. You can write it. You can't do shit with it. You can make all the fan, like all the fan stuff you want, and that's fine. You can write Star Wars. You can rewrite Star Wars episodes 7 through 9 all you want. Go for it. Have a good time doing it. You can't do shit with it. Unless George Lucas, or now I guess Disney, rains their blessings upon you to do something with that series. You're pegged. You wasted your time. You didn't exercise, and that's great, but nothing will ever come of it. At all. Nothing. And Disney is very well known for being very sue happy over their properties. I wouldn't chance it. And the biggest one, and this is where I'm going to reiterate on this, do not put all of your eggs in one basket for like the contests, the competitions, fellowships, or anything like that. Don't put all of your hopes and dreams into this one entry. Chances are 2 things will happen: jack and shit. Okay? Go on with your life. Allow yourself to forget that you even really entered the script. Like I said, move on. It's like a bad breakup. Treat that entrance as not a bad breakup, but hey, I don't love you anymore. I'm going to move on with my life and, date the next script. If that doesn't work out, guess what? I might come back to you. Either way, I still will come back to you for a midnight rendezvous at some point. Look forward to it. I'll be running my fingers across your keyboard again. We'll get back to it. But in the meantime, work on your next script. Keep writing. Let the fates decide everything else. And there's one thing I definitely want to say about entering these contests is people enter the wrong contests all the time for the wrong reasons. Contests are the noteworthy ones are expensive. Okay, and there's some really good contests out there that are amazing to be a part of. Oh my God, excuse me. I just I had them pulled up here and I just closed the tab. Give me 1 second here. Sorry, I had a list of contests and I just accidentally closed the window that I put to do. Here we go. Okay, so know a few of them, but there's a list I actually really like that I want to read off to people. Here we go. Okay, so the Nicol Fellowship, it's ranked as the best one. The entry fees aren't too bad, but like $85 entry fee, not a big deal. But the contest prizes $35,000 worth of fellowships. You know, they're awarded each year to promising new screenwriters. The program's inception in '86 through 2017, about 4.25 million has been awarded to a total of 166 writers. That's pretty damn good. So yeah, it's there. You have that, the Austin Screenwriting Competition. You have quite a few of the Screencraft. Let's see, the Draft Big Break Final Draft Big Break Screenwriting Contest. There's tons of them. But here's the deal: if you're going to submit your script, like I said, it is pricey. It gets expensive. Now you can either enter, like, say it's going to cost you $100. Okay, it's $100. But what contest do you choose? Now, do you choose the screenwriting contest that has, do you choose the one that has like $35,000 grand prize, or do you choose a contest that comes with, the ability to really like get it read by somebody in the industry? I would always choose, getting it out there to people in the industry over ever just worrying about, what kind of money I'm going to win out of it. Once you start focusing on the money, that's pretty much when you kind of like lost sight of what you're trying to do. Eventually you'll get there, the money's going to come in, but just really focus on the right screenplay competition. I found the list, so there we go. But like I said, if you have $100 in your pocket and that's all you've got to play with, enter the one with a list of people, because that list of people is worth way more than like the $35,000 to $50,000 grand prize will ever give you. Great, you won some money, you rub some shoulders. What if you're the next Troy Duffy? What if you come off like a raging douchebag and you get pretty much blacklisted by people for X amount of years because of your attitude? Always go for the list of people, the list of accomplished industry professionals. That's who you're going to want to go with. Page International, Tracking Board's Launchpad competition, Tracking B's screenwriting competition, Page, these are amazing screenwriting competitions. But for every good screenwriting competition, there are red flags for ones that just are not worth your time. There are man. There are some really, 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 really big red flags. It's like, I don't know. It's like being unemployed trying to find a job on Craigslist. Pay to be discussed, stuff like that. You don't have any information on the person you're trying to submit your. Those are the things that you want to stay away from, right? So it should be the same for screenwriting competitions. So things like, if there's no transparency about contest administration or ownership, stay away from it. Just absolutely stay away from it. Knowing who owns and is in charge of the competition you're entering is so important, because it lets you know what they can do for you. A contest is backed by an organization with some standing in the industry or run by an established group of professionals. That's usually a pretty good bet. But some random website which asks for an exorbitant a fee to read your screenplay while offering little information about what they offer in return, it's a huge red flag. The script that I entered, again, that Infect Apocalypse I entered, I didn't pay a damn thing for it to be put in a competition. It was a free screenwriting competition, just for fun. It was on Film Freeway. I looked up the information on it, and I was like, yeah, I had some good, I had some good reviews on it. So, the hell with that, I'll put it in. It was free. Why not? And so here we are. If the screenwriting festival or competition doesn't have any named judges, stay away from it. Okay, not every competition is going to be able to get an Academy Award winners to judge your work. But if a competition isn't run by an established organization and doesn't name the judges who will be reading your work at all, you're better off submitting it elsewhere. There's a value to having anybody read your work and give feedback from your fellow writers to your mom. Like there's a lot of value behind it. But when you submit it to competitions, it should be all about getting your screenplay in front of people who have some kind of industry experience. The idea that you should pay a fee to have some shadow of a person, some unnamed figure that you've never heard of write your script when when for all you know they've never worked a day in Hollywood. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And you want these people that have worked on shows, worked on films, worked on movies. Hell, it's they don't even have to. We spoke with Justin about a month and a half, 2 months ago. Justin Ward. His entire past, his entire career that led him to where he is now with doing what he's always wanted to do, was working in UFC and doing backstories and all. There was a lot that built up to it. But I would trust Justin with a script. I would trust Brian with a script. I would trust I would trust you. I would trust Ryan. I would trust anyone that I know that has actually done some work in the industry on some level, especially if there's some level of writing. And if I don't know who you are, if you don't have any credits on IMDb, if you have absolutely nothing at all to your name, where you can say, hey, I worked in the industry, why should I pay for your services? Why should I pay for you to judge my scripts? For all I know, you could be working out of your mom's spare bedroom in her double wide in the trailer park. There's no telling. And then the last one is, if there's no proven, success stories or any, specific success stories, might be a good idea to look elsewhere as well. It's just like any competition that advertises industry professionals on the other end is ideal. And like I just said, it should factor into your decision. But on your checklist of what to look for, who's benefited from a given competition should be right below who's running it. Okay? You should always look for, okay, well, what are the testimonies? Who won and what did they win? What did they go on to do? What was the outcome? If that's not there, move on. The website you're submitting to should have a list of past winners. Any good writing festival or competition on their website has a list of their previous winners. It talks about what they're up to. It talks about the examples of what entering this competition has done for them. If you search a winner's name and can't find anything on them, that's not a good sign. Do your homework. Put your energy towards entering competitions, which where writers get representation. They get signed deals. Maybe they were able to to parlay their win into a future work or something. It's just, there's numerous things. I would definitely recommend take a look at Screencraft. If you want to see a great version of this, they highlight notable success stories, but they list full names and provide links. They cite the link. They cite the stories and the people in them. But finding the right competitions, it's not hard at all, guys. You should know what, who, and where. Okay. What organization runs this competition? Who's behind it? And where it can take you. You can find comprehensive lists of best screenwriting competitions and contests entered in 2018. There's all kinds of stuff. From 2018 all the way back, you can find all these things. There's so many good ones out there. So I would definitely recommend that you guys check them out. But yeah, so the good and the bad of entering a screenwriting competition. Josh, what would you think a bad thing would be?
What, entering a screenwriting competition?
Yeah, what would you list as being like a bad thing about entering a screenwriting competition?
I don't know if there really is a downside to entering a legit screenwriting competition. The worst that could happen is you get some good notes as to why your screenplay is not good. I mean, if you don't feel your script is strong enough, you certainly shouldn't waste your money. I guess that could be a downside. If you don't feel it's strong enough to win, then why are you spending money to have people look at something that you don't believe in? Does that make sense?
Okay. No, it does.
So if you're going to be doing something like this, make sure that you fully believe in what you're putting out there. And like you said, don't take it personally. It's a contest. People are paid to read and rate your work. They're just giving you, as you said, their opinions on what they think would make your story more marketable. It's not written in stone. It's not the word of God. It's just tips. Just like, hey, if you put blonde highlights in your hair, you might be more attractive. Well,
yeah.
You might not be to the one you want to be attracted to you. You know?
Okay.
So it's definitely a balancing act when it comes to the advice that you take, because at the end of the day, it's still your story. You got to do what you feel is best for your story and your goals, because there's going to be someone that's perfectly willing to go out there, write something, have it reviewed, get a bunch of notes, and then change everything about their story based on what some stranger with some credentials says. Who knows? If Diablo Cody, decided to take all of the notes on Juno, would she still be an Academy Award winner? Maybe, maybe not. But it's something that only you can decide. But as far as entering the contest, if you've got the time, if you got the material, and if you got the money, why not go for it? If you're, mind you, if you are looking for people to read your material, that's the only thing you're guaranteed. And in some cases, depending on the contest, you're not even really guaranteed that. There's the ones that Brandon, you just kind of help people steer clear of.
But
if you're just looking to get your stuff read and you think you have a chance, if you think it's good, by all means. I don't think there's a real downside to putting yourself out there, because as Kevin Smith said, Wayne Gretzky said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And this could be the thing that, get you noticed somewhere. You never know. Give it a shot.
Okay. So to answer my question, you don't think there's any downside to entering a screenplay?
Long story short, no.
Competition. Okay.
I don't think so.
Well, see, but there's one big downside to it. It is the fact that I completely lost the page I was going to open up and discuss it with. But there is a downside to it, and the downside is the fact that if you are sensitive towards your writing, and this kind of does come into play with what you were saying, but if you have a thin skin, and I've seen this, so there is someone that in the screenwriting platform on Facebook that was just talking about how because they were corrected, they're going to step away from writing. If you are a very, very sensitive person, if you are a closeted person that doesn't want your stuff to be put out there for anyone to read, don't do it. I mean, I would still urge you to do it because I think that you need to come out of your shell. But if it's something that's impossible for you to do so, then don't do it. that rejection to some people can be crippling. Now, it is what it is. I'm not a sensitive person. I'm far from a sensitive person, but I had the blessing of not giving a shit what people think about me. Not everyone's like that. If you're like that, I would still urge you to do it, but on the same token, I would urge you not to, for your own, I guess, well-being. This may sound really messed up to some people listening to this right now, but the only downside to it is also a positive, and it's the feedback. Always sign up for the feedback, especially if you're not certain of your work. Sign up for the feedback, but that feedback can be brutal sometimes. They're not your friends. They're not your family. Don't have your friends and family read your stuff, and that's great. But take what they say with as a grain of salt. It means nothing. You need the expertise of like the words of somebody else that doesn't know you, that honestly doesn't care about your existence. Someone who you could just you could really just, I don't know, enter something in, they could rip it apart in 2 seconds. But honestly, without my talking points, I'm just going to keep driving on. So I'm just going to stop. But either way, so just as you said, Josh, just enter the shit. Just put in the competitions and put your name out there. It's well worth it. It really is, to me, at all times. It's well worth it, no matter how shy you are, how, I don't know, egotistical you are. It is worth it. There's no such thing as bad publicity. And like I said, I had some scripts I was proud of that I put in that screenplay competition. I had some shit that I was like, oh my god, this is gonna rock. It got kicked right the hell out of it. Didn't even get submitted. I'm sorry, didn't get accepted rather. Infectocalypse, a script that I wrote when I was drunk, mostly. It got a top 1,000 out of 13,000 entries. I'm like, cool. So I mean, you never know. It could be like the dumbest idea in the world to you. It'll go really far. It could be like the next Good Will Hunting, and it'll get shot down. You never know.
Remember Good Will Hunting, the film that won the Academy Award for Best Screenplay.
Yep.
Best original screenplay, had to be taken out of the garbage can and said and told to be made.
Yep.
So
that's all I got with the screenwriting competitions.
And I think that's going to do it for the show this week.
Okay. I will say this. My recommendation of the week is it's on Hulu. I don't know if you can find it on YouTube or not, but it is a short film called, I think it's called Thirst or Thirsty or something. Either way, it's a film about a mosquito. It's about 60 minutes long. It's a film about a mosquito that bites a guy, and the mosquito falls in love with the man, and the man can hear the mosquito. It's such a batshit crazy movie. I would recommend Velocipaster on Amazon Prime because it's free, but I will only ever recommend the first 15 minutes. After that, shut it the hell off. Like the first 15 minutes, it is comedy gold. After that, and it's just funny because it's so bad. It is so bad, and it's meant to be so bad that it's hysterical. Actually, you know what? I'll recommend them both. There you go. But the first 15 minutes, everybody, of Velocipaster. Watch the rest at your own risk. That's fine. I could make it past 15 minutes, but it's got a really, really, really cool car explosion beginning that you never see, where the main character's parents die. And the reason why you never see it is because it cuts to an incomplete frame that says insert special effects here. It says this in the feature film on Amazon Prime. Just to give you an idea of what kind of movie it is. And it's also called Velocipaster. It's a pastor that turns into a velociraptor, which is a giant foam dinosaur looking thing. It looks like a flotation device at a theme park. But, and I'm sure Danielle will agree with me, even though she is not here. You have to find out why they call the guy Frankie Mermaid. Do you know why they call him Frankie Mermaid, Josh?
I do not.
Because he's swimming in bitches. He's a pimp. So, check it out. Like I said, the first 15 minutes, totally worth it. So bad that it's hysterical. But I apologize for nothing. So, if you watch past 15 minutes, you can't get mad at me because I told you that's when you should shut it off. But Thirst, it was interesting to say the least. I walked away from it not knowing what the hell to think about it. But that's all I've got for you guys tonight. So that is it. I think this is probably the most serious episode you and I have had so far, Josh.
So far. And I think this might have been our most concise and intelligible conversation that we've had.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I've got to stop. So why don't you go ahead and plug the website, IG, and Facebook.
Okay, guys. So, as always with every week, first off, to our followers, thank you so much for following us. But you can follow us on Facebook at the WADcast. You'll see our page with our little logo. It's the black logo with the white banner that says WADcast with writer, actor, director written underneath of it. So the WADcast on Facebook. And you have to type in the WADcast. Don't forget the WADcast. On Instagram, it is instagram.com/the WADcast. Once again, you'll see our picture. Not my face or Josh's face, but, the black picture with the white banner with the WADcast and writers, actors, directors underneath of it. And that's where you can find us. If you see me on Instagram, it's bjaxman82. BJAX as in X-Men, man as in X-Man, 82 on Instagram. Stop in, say hi. And one last thing I do want to say, Josh, and I posted this on Facebook for everyone. I'll also be posting it on Instagram because I think that we need to expand a little bit more. So I'll need you to do this on Twitter as well. We are looking for people to submit their short scripts for the cold reads. If you guys would like us to read and act out your scripts, we ask a few small things here. We ask that you try to keep it at least between the page count of 8 to 10 pages. That way it's 8 to 10 minutes of us reading this. 10 pages at the very most. I'd prefer just be 8 pages, but whatever. Go crazy, 10 pages. 2 characters. If we have a special guest that week, if you have 3 characters, then we'll have our special guest get involved with it and have them read it out too, like what we did with Brian, 2 weeks ago. And then after that, we also ask that if possible, if you're not comfortable having your script read out, read by us, if it's not protected, by all means, copyright it. It doesn't cost really that much. Just copyright your script, submit it, because we'd really like to get to the point where we're drawing out the winners, our favorite, for the month. And then, in turn, you will get yourself, and this is a me thing, I haven't even talked to you, Josh, about this, but you will get yourself a T-shirt with our logo, the WADcast, on it. It will not be signed. Sorry, Josh and I live on 2 polar sides of the country, and shipping's just too damn much. So you're screwed on that one. But you will have a shirt with the WADcast on it. So please, by all means, submit your stuff to us. We'd love to read it. We'd love to really praise you as a writer and really get your name, put up there on our website as as the writer of our cold read cold read of the week. So, Josh, where can they find you on social media?
Well, as always, you can find the WADcast on social media at WADcastPod. Give it a follow, and I'll make sure you're kept up to date with everything that's going on via Twitter. Or if you want to follow me personally, that's @SkidComic. If you like my voice and want to hear me talk about other stuff, then follow @Semicore Studios. That's the place where all the magic happens, Semicore Studios. And you can go to semicorestudios.com to find out more information about all of the wonderful Semicore Studios podcasts. You can also go to semicorepods.com to go straight to all of the wonderful Semicore Studios podcasts. And you can find Semicore Studios on Facebook. Give it a like, and you'll be kept up to date once again on everything going on. And there is a lot of stuff going on right now. We're running, 3 days a week, plus the 2 shows that I'm running in, the one show I'm running in, what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Collaboration with indieradio.org. And one show that I absolutely love being on a weekly basis, Cinema du Fromage. That is Cinema du Fromage, where we watch cheesy movies and talk about it. That's also back for season 4. We just did They Live, which was a treat and definitely a fun conversation. So there's all sorts of ways you can find me and listen to me. All of those ways that I mentioned before. But if you are someone that's not listening live, which, by the way, every Semicore Studios podcast goes live at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Hawaiian, you need to rate, review, subscribe. That way, you can get all of the latest and greatest Semicore Studios podcasts, like the WADcast, each and every week. And when you review and rate, you will help with the algorithms and let the world know that Semicore Studios make some fine podcasts. Let the world know what you think about the WADcast. Whew. Seems like it gets longer every week.
Yeah, no kidding, dude. My God, how many? We just need to get like a billboard on the website or something now.
I'm currently part of 5 podcasts working on a 6th.
Yeah, well, let's focus on the WADcast, okay? We are giving way too many people the spotlight here, so it is us. Okay, we are the important ones, not them.
Plus, we might have a pretty cool announcement as far as guests go coming up pretty soon. And the Twitter and the IG and the Facebook are going to be the way to get that information before everybody else.
Okay. We do have to work on the last announcement, though, because of the fact that it's starting to sound like a list of side effects from a drug or something like that in a commercial.
Well, at least I didn't list each and every show individually this time.
Oh, my God. Okay, well, either way, that's all I got. So that's our show, guys.
As we do every week, when we sign off the podcast.
Can I give the words of wisdom this week?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. You always get really supportive mom saying good night to all of you guys before she tucks you into bed. You get an Uncle Brandon to them this week, okay? So, first off, as always, the only thing that gets in the way of anything is you. Stop sabotaging yourself, okay? Grow some cojones, whatever you got to do. Get it done. You got an idea? Write it. If you want to do something, do it. Rock the shit out of it. Go for it. Reach your shit. But, it takes hard work. It doesn't just take, like sitting around doing nothing. Good things don't come to people if they just wait around for them. Good shit comes to people that do shit. That's how it works. I said shit a lot so far, haven't I? Well, it's probably because I haven't used the F word yet. But, trying to find substitutions here. But, on a more gentle and serene note, for all of you people, reach for the stars. Okay? Take a look. It's in a book. It's a reading rainbow. Make it happen. Make it happen. Go out there. You want to do something, do it. In the words of Whoopi Goldberg in Sister Act 2, if you wake up in the morning and the first thing that you can think about is singing, then you're supposed to be a singer. But in this case, if the first thing you think about doing when you wake up in the morning is being involved in film production, or any other one of your little dreams that you have going on, a big dream, a little dream, whatever kind of dream, a lemonade stand on the sidewalk, you build that lemonade stand. Get it done. You want to write a screenplay? Write the scripts. If you don't know how, read a few scripts. Read some articles about scripts. Write it. But as Josh always says, the only thing getting in your way is you. So don't be a douche to yourself. Don't cheat yourself. Go do it. This has been a public service announcement by Brandon. You're welcome.